Yo, what is up, my ninjas? I'm Strydent, and welcome to another video. Today, I'm doing a sit down. I haven't done one in a long time. Up until fairly recently, I was almost ready to throw in the towel because the views weren't coming in, and I kind of was like, meh, I'm done. But when I did my He-Man video, it kind of turned around. So I'm thankful for you guys for tuning in for that, and hopefully more of you will go and watch the Off Our Brains that we just did. Me and Soul Drum. We talked about a bunch of stuff, including Mortal Kombat 2. We talked a little bit about Spider-Man Noir, stuff like that. So tune in for that. Show some love there. Also, take a look at the bulletproof video I did for Fresh Monkey Fiction from Cops, because it's kind of a it hits multiple marks for me, because there's a personal piece there with Cops, because those were the guys I ended up losing the kind of bidding war to. And then they're also the reason why I ended up making SWAT 2249. So, check it out, see what you think, and, give me some love and some shine time on that. But anyway, we're going to talk about all this that's going on this desk, because I need to clear this out so that I can do some other reviews and stuff. And some of these guys have been on here for a grip. I mean, way in the back, you see Deathstroke and Batman from LPZZ. Freaking Blade from Sawtooth Toys, Chatsworth, motherfucking Chatsworth came in, and I didn't even get to talk about him. So I want to do that. Also, finally, after a lot of work, I got Taki. So I got scammed, so I lost $80, and then I made a new friend. Shout out to Rob Z, and was able to get him with all his gear intact and all of that. Now, he's a pretty good figure. He's not my favorite of the V-Toys figures, but definitely a cool figure in and of his own right. And he does some things that I wish more people would pay attention to, but I will get into that shortly. I also managed to get the majority of the first wave of the Motu Chronicle toy line. So it's He-Man, Man-at-Arms, Skeletor, Triclops, Trapjaw, and Battlecat. I don't know why I just blanked for a second. Old age. Stress, maybe. I tell you, starting a company is stressful. I've been going through all kinds of hell trying to get my EIN number. They're always busy, so it's like nearly impossible to get a hold of someone to get that done. So if anyone knows any alternatives or any ways that you can kind of jump into the line and talk about what you need to talk about and get your EIN squared away, let me know, because I could use all the help I can get. Anyway, I hope everything's going well with you guys. And without further ado, we are going to start by talking about... We're talking about this here Wolf Trooper from Skeletron, their Red Shadows division. This is not clearing up. Hold on, let me zoom in a little so we can get some clarity. There we go. So as you can see, this guy looks like he jumped right out of G.I. Joe Classifieds. Everything about him reads as a G.I. Joe Classifieds figure, and as you know, the nostalgia crowd loves that. Shout out to my homeboy Sam. He hooked me up with this because we talked about him briefly, and I had yet to jump into this line. This is the only Skeletron thing I have so far, and I know the guys that work that make the stuff. Ben, Mark, Corey. Shout out to my homeboy Corey. Corey does some really cool stuff, and these figures they're well done figures. It's just no longer my bag. Now, even though they are futuristic, because I know some of you would be like, oh, I thought you loved the futuristic stuff, considering, SWAT takes place in the far future, and then, what's the other one? Fenris Company takes place in space as well, like in a far off Earth, you know, in another universe, that would all be true. But there's something about this need to adhere to what Hasbro has set in motion that turns me off when it comes to a lot of toy lines these days from independent creators. And so personally, that's why this didn't appeal to me the way that some other toy lines do. But he is a pretty cool figure. Now, these guys are just essentially soldiers, but if you only have one, it could be easy to make this into your own, like, adventurer or something, you know? He doesn't look inherently evil outside of the red eyes, but I'm sure you could find, like, a unused Marvel Legends head and just put that unmasked head on this body, and then now you have, like, a character as opposed to just a faceless grunt, you know? But the sculpt is actually really nice. Really good use of different finishes. I love the shiny boots and knee pads and gloves and stuff against the matte finished body. That's the kind of stuff I love to see. Characters like Blade do that really well. A lot of the Fury Toy stuff do that really well too. I like that the backpack, I'll take this off of him real quick and we'll look at the backpack. I love that the backpack kind of has its own little, it's got a nice, like, design to it, you know? It looks very much like it does. Like, those thrusters look like they do what they're supposed to do. Like, that would propel a person. I like where the claws sit. Just having them integrated into the backpack, that was a really good idea. And the way that they integrate is, so these clip on to the forearms of the Wolf Trooper. And so they clip right onto this, and then the two clips pieces one goes in there and the other one sits back here, which would be covered by the rest of the backpack, you know? When you look at it, this part is sitting against the back of the trooper, so it's hidden. It's really nicely done, you know? So I like that. And then the claws, when they're on the guys, they look like this, which is pretty cool. What you probably want to do, and I'm just guessing from looking at the way that it's designed, is this shape right here fits over the glove so that you have everything kind of flush. And so now you have the claws. And he does come with extra hands and everything, which is cool. And he also turns at the they turn at the forearm as well as at the hand. I'm sorry, you couldn't even see that. So they turn at the forearm and then they turn up here at the hand. So, you know, if you don't want to mess with the hand once you put this on, you can just turn the whole forearm and that works just as well. So yeah, I like that a lot, you know. Makes them look a little bit more formidable if you have them, like, you know, sweeping through a room or a corridor or something, using a pistol in one hand and they got their claw ready on the other. And it looks good, you know. I think this will make for they do make for good bad guys, like formidable bad guys. I'm going to have him in my Monster Force section because, you know, Red Shadows and all that stuff, and he'll be like some experiment from the future, you know? Something they pulled from a portal from the future so that we could do some of that stuff. But, you know, say you have him... some tense music, like a pulse of some sort. Or the shit from, like, Terminator, you know. But he looks good. He looks really good. I like this pistol. Looks really good. It almost looks like these two pieces, this top orange piece right here, and then this piece underneath the red dot could enclose. It's pretty cool, but it's really well done. You know, if it was a Figure Arts or like a Super Sentai figure, it probably would do that. But, you know, for what we're asking or because what the problem they're trying to solve is futuristic red shadows done in the style of classifieds, and they succeeded. I want to turn the dial a little bit more, so I would have done it differently, but this isn't my project, so I like it. I like it. It does exactly what it's supposed to do, and it does it in a familiar way for those who want that, and that works. So on to the next guy. I was just looking at a little bit more of the details. I love the chest, the emblem on the chest, the Skeletron emblem. That's pretty dope. Pretty dope. His armor is pretty dope too. It reminds me of the Cobra eel, the 12-inch Cobra eel from the 90s. You remember when they were making 12-inch Joes that came in like the blister card, or a blister in general, and they had nice detail. The costumes were kind of lackluster in comparison to what the Joes actually look like, but the eel had this kind of a harness type deal going on, and then he had the backpack with the oxygen tank and the flippers. He reminds me of a Cobra eel a lot. But anyway, and I like the eels, especially the Pursuit of Cobra one, or Rise of Cobra ones. They are pretty dope. Anyway, moving on. It's kind of funny. I often talk about like sublime figures, and the reason why I made this my mascot of my set, with me outside of my armor, is because of how sublime this figure is. I mean, look at the pose. You can't do this with a lot of figures, and like it's full extension, and it looks natural. This is a Figma, and a lot of people diss Figma these days because you guys are very I don't want to say indoctrinated, but you're very limited in. A lot of guys are limited in their scope when it comes to good figures. You only know what is easily acceptable, and you only know what's popular. You're not going out there and searching to find out other things. And if Figma doesn't make a Marvel or a popular video game character, I mean, they did do Doomslayer, so there are new people coming on board. You guys forget that Figma exists, and some people don't even bother to look any further than the latest release, so you don't go back and look. Figmas tend to be all over the place with their value, so like this figure, this is the Ninja Slayer, the black, I think his name is Sotspots. This is from the actual manga itself, not from the or this is the Figma interpretation before the manga, or before the manga version that they did, which I hate the manga versions, or at least the later manga versions. I like the original ones. Like the Ninja Slayer himself is just this but red, and he has some different markings on his mask. Like if you look at this guy's mask, there's these cool markings on his face. You see that? And there's different ones for the original main character. I've been a ninja fan for a long time. I have so many ninja things, and I'm trying to, get more cooler ones and put them on display, because it's something that when I was a kid, I was always like, I want to have more ninjas, not just Ninja Turtles. And not too many of them that were quality existed. There were a lot of like bootlegs things that you could get from like the dollar store, like, Odd Lots and Shoppers World and shit like that back home in Jersey. But like, there weren't a lot of like cool official ninja properties. So these days I'm getting my fix, because there's lots of stuff. I mean, you saw that. This guy's not a ninja per se, but he fits some of the aesthetics. So that's my level 2 essentially. Different sword and everything. It's my powered up mode, level 2. You see the horns, so you know that that's Strydent. Shout out to Action Figure Addict 112, because he's one of the people that noticed this as soon as it came out. He was like, this is probably going to be Strydent, his next form or something like that. I can't remember what the exact words were, but you were right. You were 100% right. I couldn't pass that up. But speaking of ninjas, let's talk about Dark Crown Toys Shura. Now, what's crazy about these guys, I'll put them down here, they kind of came out of nowhere. And they do right what so many other lines do wrong, you know? A lot of companies like to use metal for like the swords and things like that, but then they go about doing it in a way that it kind of fucks up the experience and the of playing with the toy. The metal is too heavy, the sword is too heavy, so you can't really pose the figure. And then when you pose them, their arm drops because the fucking, sword is too heavy because the metal isn't thin enough. There's a lot of that stuff. But you don't have those problems here. Then things like in my I today actually I did a whole lot, which is typical. I have to do a lot because I don't have a lot of free time like I used to. But I uploaded the Meta Travelers from Legendary, and I got 2 figures and I reviewed them. I really went hard on that review because we're indie developers or creators, and we need to be able to do well enough to take the crown from the big boys, from the big dogs that have been there for a long time. Now, there are companies that are worthy, don't get me wrong, and they gave us some great stuff, but we have to essentially, we have to, how do I put that? We stand on the shoulders of those giants, and then we have to like run with the ball, We can't just keep repeating it. That's why I'm sick of the nostalgia trap. We have to kind of evolve the whole thing, So I went hard on them because they didn't really evolve anything, and there was a lot of things that were lacking. Well, Dark Crown Toys were making statues beforehand of these very characters. There's like a whole universe around them. And for their first action figure outing, they fucking killed it. And there's things on this figure, like, for instance, I'll show you with the guy in the background who I'm going to make. He's going to be a big bad of my universe. I want these guys to be bad guys, but check this out. Come on, wake up. See if I can get it to work on camera. Oh, the battery's dying. Oh, that's lame. I need to switch out the batteries. Well, he's got LEDs in his eyes. He does too. I took the whole mechanism out because it was a hassle. Sometimes when you turn his head, it would disengage from the LEDs, and then it would fall apart. This guy doesn't have that, but you can see they put so much detail into these guys, like from the hilt of the sword. I mean, look at that shit. You know what I mean? Like, come on, guys. There's so many figures that come from Japan and come from the US, and they just give you a generic, it's a katana. That's it. Meanwhile, these guys, that's just the hilt of the sword. The handle looks good. The sheath. Look at the sheath. Scabbard, whatever you want to call it. Look at that shit. Detail all over the place. Like, that's what I like about these guys. They're just full of detail. But the engineering, their arms, you'd think with all the armor they have that they wouldn't be able to, move very far. They wouldn't be able to do very much. Yeah, not these guys. Look at that. So you can do those Capcom-esque poses, or like if you watch Super Sentai, whenever a ninja's involved, they always do crazy poses and then do the different jutsus with their hands and stuff, and it looks good. But look at that. I didn't really do anything just now. That's all I did was just move his hands. That looks fucking phenomenal. Look at that shit. It's like a select screen picture. Look at the detail in his hands. And on his arms. Dude is just brimming with detail everywhere. Look at his shin guards. You see that weathering, that like leathery kind of texture going on in there? The tabbies themselves. I mean, he's got ninja written all over him. And this is coming from a Chinese company. These guys just, artists wanted to make ninja things. They weren't worried about cultural like specificity past the fact that these guys are ninjas, so these guys need to have things that ninjas have, which are traditionally Japanese, and they just did their research and made a cool, you know, stylized version of all that stuff. Now, I got the 2-pack with these 2 guys in there, but there's a 3rd head that you get. You get a bunch of weapons, some extra hands. I'll show you some of the stuff that they get in package in just a second. I just want to marvel at the posability of this guy. I mean, look at that. At first, I was thinking I would do one of those, you know, good ninja, evil ninja type thing. But since I'm a ninja, I could have these guys be guys that we fight. Or I could use some other ninjas, you know, like Gabimaru and them, and have them fight these guys. And that would be cool because they're bigger and they're stronger and their details are really cool, but they look evil, you know? Oh, another thing. This mask that he's wearing. Look at the detail on that thing. And it can actually just come off. And it reveals a very porcelain face for a dude. He looks like Yoshitaka Amano's artwork. At least that's what he reminds me of. But it's dope. I mean, one of the downsides is because he's all black and shiny. The dust, he will attract dust really easy. But I mean, just dust your figures off, you know? But I mean, look at how much quality is going on these guys. And I love how, let me put the mask back on and then we'll continue. I love the engineering that went into this guy. Like, a lot of times, companies will make a figure that has a function, and the function, you kind of just take it or leave it. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you know, oh well, it's a cool idea. In this case, all the functionality works. Like, his pants have a couple things, and I show these in the Legendary video because they were on the shelf while I was reviewing them, and I wanted to, or on the desk while I was reviewing them, and I wanted to bring up things that, levels of detail that they took the time and put the, you know, the extra little effort into to make this work, you know, better. They're wearing these pants, right? These traditional ninja pants. They're nice and baggy. They've got the pleats. They look good, right? But they don't just look good. They actually have the functionality that these pants tend to have, because you're going to kick, you're going to jump, you're going to squat, you're going to move around. So you can see up top, they anchor above the belt, and then they run down into these greaves. But then you see this stretchy material, which is different from the pants material itself, that's there so that when you move him, if there's any stretching that needs to be done, where the pants don't give, the stretchy material will give. So when you make him kick or something, and I'll put him in a kick so that you can see what I'm talking about. I'll put him in a jump kick, because ninjas tend to be able to do some of the best jump kicks because they're usually agile in things. But when you're making them kick and you have their legs kind of in a far stance, like a spread stance, you can do this kind of shit, and it looks good. And like, not only does it look good, but your figure, the pants are maintained, so you don't have to worry about, is your figure gonna break? Can he actually, like, you know, achieve the kick the way you need him to? Like, look at this. You see the stretch? Look at that. It's almost like a rider kick. Rider kick. Looks like a ninja kick, or like he's diving, like a dive kick. But you see that stretch. Look at where the pleats are following. Like, this is phenomenal. I'm telling you, man, like, everything we weren't getting from Japan, we're getting from China. And everything we're getting between the two of them eclipses 90% of what we get from the US. They just do it better. And this figure, I think alone, they didn't cost, until you doofuses get a hold of it, and you know who I'm talking about when I say you doofuses, the scalpers. When they get a hold of these guys, which I think they already have, you're going to see them going for like 200 a piece, and that sucks. But when they came out, I want to say they were like 80 or 90 bucks a piece. So they're expensive because metal sword, lots of cool sculpting, you know, things like that. But they're not $200 a piece. You know, their statues should be that price, not the fucking action figures. But, you know, something about scalpers and understanding value. They always overestimate the value of a thing to the point where everything becomes unacceptable or unaccessible, after a short while of being released. When what you should be doing is trying to make it, if it comes out at an affordable price, you keep it close to that affordable price, you know? So there's going to be a lot of people who aren't going to be able to get in on these guys because, you know, scalpers fucked it all up. But shoulder pads, they move all the way out of the way. They're sitting on a multiple joints. There's like a connection point. If you look closely, you can see a little ball socket joint where the shoulder pad pegs on top of a socket. But then the whole thing is on this shoulder assembly that goes over the top of their shoulders, as you can see right here. And it moves the way the real thing moves. So you can get their arms up, and you don't have to worry about breaking anything. Now, their joints are kind of stiff, but I haven't played with them very much since I got them. I've been very busy, you know. When I tell you that my life has revolved around just doing everything for Strydent Design Forge, I'm not lying. That's like legit. My whole life has been Strydent Design Forge for the last, you know, couple months. But really dope figures. Let me go get the accessories. Okay. So, one of the accessories we got is this creepy ass bird. It's like, this whole line feels like they also like Kita Amemiya's work. He's the guy who created Garo and Mirai Ninja. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Future Ninja, essentially, that's what it's called. And he did Kamen Rider, Zoe, and Jay, and I think he had something to do with Shin. I could be wrong. During the 90s. Look at that creepy-ass bird. He also did Zeram. This looks like it came out of Zeram. Creepy-ass bird. And a cool thing that they did was, so the bird, there's connection points on this brace. Oh, I pulled the whole brace off. There's this brace that you can interchange. See, he has these little holes on his under his talons, or little pegs, and they go in the holes on this bracer. And so the bracer, there's a couple different bracers that you can put on your Ninja, and here's one of them. I like it a lot because of what it allows them to do. Anyone who's a fan of the Guyver, I think, will get a kick out of this because it's along those lines. And I love this kind of stuff. It's unique stuff. It's a unique take on something that you've seen elsewhere, but it's being done differently here. See that? It's fucking dope. So you can have them get all serious and up close and personal, and have them using their freaking blade, or forearm blade, or whatever. It's pretty dope. The blade is metal as well. So a lot of the price that you're paying for these guys has to do with the quality of what you're getting. Another thing you have is you have a set of magnetic hands, because these guys can stick to, via magnets, they can stick to metal objects. And so if you have anything metal, they will attach to it. almost anything metal, I should say. It depends on how much metal is in there. But that's cool. They also have them in their feet. So you'll notice that when, like, for instance, I will pick up this guy back here. See that? All that's holding him is the magnets in his feet. So it's pretty dope. Then you have a series of weapons. I'm going to bring out these other weapons. You have, I had to put them together with a twist tie because they kept getting lost. You've got throwing stars. 3 of them. I think that's 3. Yeah, that's 3. Right? Yeah, 3 of them. Very nice. There's lots of detail on them, especially in the center. You have 2 weird daggers. One is more like a kunai, and they actually, this is the kunai, and they actually fix to the figure via magnetic points, which I'm not a fan of magnets like that. I feel like these things need to clip, but you can clearly see where they go. You see that? Boom. So if you're just leaving them on the shelf, that's fine. You know, it won't get in the way. It'll stay on there and you won't have any issues. But if you want to play around with them a little bit and pose them a lot, then this is not good. Eventually they will fall. It'll fall off. But the dagger itself, the kunai, it's a kunai in your eye. It looks like a traditional kunai for the most part, but it's got a nice little stylistic flair to it. The blade is also metal. And then, you know, handle looks really cool. You could tie a rope to that if you want to go scorpion style. I like it a lot. It's very cool. And then here's the other dagger. Again, magnetic connection points to hold it onto the belts of the characters. And pow! Very cool blade. It's very Thai or East. What is that? Is that East Asian? Yeah, East Asian influence there. Although I know that there's swords from Japan that have that, that influence, but there's a lot of Chinese weaponry and ornaments that have that kind of feel. A lot of Thai stuff that has that feel to it. Then lastly, we have the big extra blade. It's pretty cool. It comes in this cool case. Apparently, it's like some kind of instrument, like a musical instrument. I was like, okay. I'll take your word for it. And you can't just pull the blade out. You have to open the whole thing to get the blade out. It's magnetically connected. So, there you go. And then here's the blade. Mystical red blade. But you see it's got buttons on it like a trumpet. So yeah, take that, Green Ranger. Pretty dope. I was really impressed when I saw this. I'm like, okay, they're on a different level with their design sense, you know? And then the final piece is the extra head. So you have a couple options. You have the mask on this guy. You have the face on this guy. That mask is stuck. Oof, this magnet is powerful. So this half face thing is stuck on this figure. As far as I know, it's stuck. Yeah, it's stuck. And so this is one of your options. And then you have a full mask that you could also put it on that guy if you wanted to. Like an Oni mask. But you could pull this off and just have him displayed with the regular mask. Why is it so... There we go. And he's got a similar face to the first guy I showed you, but he's got red eyes. I like it. It looks really cool. So if you happen to get another one, you can just, obviously get another one of him and just take the head off and put this one on, and then give him 2 shoulder pads. You get an extra shoulder pad as well. So yeah, I mean, all in all, you're getting a lot in your package. And I forgot there's, where did I put them? There are effect pieces that go on the stand that are like smoke, like purple smoke and fire. And they also are magnetic, and they attach to the to the stand, and there's these little points you can see. You push them back so you can see what I'm talking about. Little itty bitty dots you can see right there, and that's how you know where all of them are supposed to kind of line up. Helps you get a better bead on where you need to put everything, and it just lines up there. And yeah, there you go. You're off to the races. But I think this set was worth it. I waited a long time for them. It is expensive. That's always the downside to a lot of this new stuff. Is it'll be like one figure that does all the things, and then it's expensive, So if you see it and you can get the set for, the 200 that it goes for, then get it. You know what I mean? And you won't be able to necessarily splurge. I mean, I guess some of you will, but like for the average person, it'll be a decent amount of money to spend. But like if you consider what you're getting in the package, all the quality that you're getting for just with one of these guys, I think it's worth it, considering we would spend the $200 and get 4 mediocre figures from Hasbro. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it that way. And then it starts to put things into perspective why we've been getting gypped for so long when it comes to the figures that we get. One of the things I like about them, should you decide to make them good guys, or maybe you want to make them come from a demon realm, this guy off in the background, that big, scary looking from the Shuten Doji line, he has a lot of the same stylistic approaches that they have on his armor and stuff. Just, it's a little bit more wild. But he'd make for a good enemy, for them to fight. So, you have options. So, yeah, I was having very much fun with that, and I'm very glad I picked these guys up. And I think if you see them, you should get them. You will be very happy with them. Everything they do very, very well. And, yeah, we need more of that. So, that is it for them. Let's move on to the next guys. All right, Gun Girl. I've had her for a long time. She's been in the background for a long time. There's not much to say that hasn't already been said. Roman Key killed it. I also like the fact that they made her... I may have actually reviewed her a little bit in another video, another sit-down. So, forgive me if I did, but such a dope figure deserves to be spoken about at length. But for me, I have a problem with anime's insistence on trying to push sex appeal with lollies, little girl presenting characters. And it sucks because, like, it's a archetype that, even though it's based on real life, because there are some old, like, grown women that look younger than their younger counterparts, like they just look like they don't grow up. Women like Amelia Clark would be a good example, but like even in her looking extremely young, you can tell that she's not a kid. You can tell she's an adult woman. You know what I mean? Like, it's not hard to tell what you're looking at, when you see her. What anime tends to do, and a lot of mangaka and, Japanese illustrators tend to do, is they go out of their way to accentuate the childlike features of a character, but then put them in adult situations, and I don't really like that. Now, I know that Rebecca in the show, Edge Runners, was presented as a little girl, but she's supposed to be older than the other characters, but there was no reason why she couldn't have just been a short woman, you know what I mean, from a design standpoint. And I'm a character designer. I fed my kids. I put one kid through college with that shit. I'm talking professionally. So, keep your preferences to yourself. Listen to what I'm saying about the design itself. Roman Key, probably out of necessity, since they had already created this grown woman body. And, might I say, it's actually a very dope grown woman body. Although, my favorite grown woman body has to go to Fury Toys. Theirs is built like my wife, and I love it. I love it, and I love it, and I love it. But this is dope too. They put all the features on a grown body, and by doing that, you end up with a little bit of a different aesthetic, you know? Like having, you know, the thicker legs that are bigger and they're muscular. She looks very athletic, you know? Having the longer, slightly longer arms, you know, and then putting the cybernetic arms on top of that. I like that. It looks good. Being able to, you know, cover her up a little bit and still have the tattoos in place where they should be. It looks good. I mean, she's very naked, but, you know, she looks like the character. Characters in Cyberpunk run around dressed like this, you know? So it doesn't feel too out of the norm. Now, I'm not going to go get all the accessories and stuff, because like I said, I think I have mentioned her in at least one other video. And if I didn't, let me know, and then maybe I'll do a video just glazing this figure as much as possible, you know? But she's dope. And I unfortunately, I'm lamenting that I got the standard release, so I didn't get the release with the other head and the other body that doesn't have all the stuff on, and I don't have the big-ass cannon and stuff. But what I do have here, and, you know, the other gun piece for her arm, she has like a transforming attachment where you can remove this fist and then put a gun in place of that. That's really cool. I like it a lot. There's so much about this design that I really dig. So yeah, she's cool, you know. I can't wait to have Ness and company chasing her down, because I refuse to acknowledge the events of Cyberpunk Edgerunner in my universe. Edgerunners, that shit hit me so hard, and the fact that like only Lucy's punk ass survived pissed me off so much. I don't like when the chick is a complete piece of shit, except for a couple scenes, and then they give her the world at the end. You know, they let her survive and they let her have all the happiness. Meanwhile, all the people who made it capable, or made that, you know, possible, they all get fucking shat on and get killed. Like, and they get killed in like some just unceremonious ways. I was like, come on, man. But anyway, she's a dope figure. If you see her, you should get her. She's very easy to pose. I mean, now, again, those folks, you know, the usual suspects have gotten a hold of these figures, and now she is going for stupid prices to the point where it almost feels like it's not going to be worth it to get this figure. You know, not at the prices that they're asking for. She's not a $200 figure, you know. So despite what you might hear, despite what you might feel when you see her and you want to get one, do not pay $200 for this figure. You know, wait for the next batch of Roman key figures, because they're coming. But yeah, she's a dope figure. I really enjoy playing with her, posing her, putting her in situations, and just having her as a background character sometimes. It's pretty cool. So, you know, if you see her, get her. You will enjoy her. And yeah, on to the next one. Let's talk about the Metamorphosis from, I want to say, Gimme 5 Toys. Pretty sure that's what they're called. I love this figure. There's so many different textures, and it does this thing that I'm super intrigued with that you saw on the Shura, where you integrate the soft goods into the sculpt of the actual figure. They use a nice, soft, kind of stretchy material, and it fits really well. But this guy is really cool. He's one of the earlier Bugman action figures that have become commonplace with the Chinese action figures now, with Sexy Ice kind of leading the charge now because they've been doing a whole lot of them. But there's a couple companies doing these. This guy's pretty dope. He's very posable. He's kind of light, very lightweight. He feels like he feels like a figure arts in many ways. He feels sometimes, at first I thought it felt like it would break, but that's not an accurate assessment. He just feels so much lighter in some ways than what we're used to. But look at all the cool things, like all the layering and the way the paint is done. It's really good. The fact that there's a wire in this burlap like wrap, so you could take this off real easily. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Oh, actually, I forgot. I had to work this on. Just the ends. There is a rope going. I mean, a wire going through it, but it's like glued together here in the center. So I would have to do some working him out to get that off, and I don't want to do all that. Not right now. But it's just cool, man. It's just really cool. Look at these compound eyes with the light piping and stuff. Very fucking cool, right? And I managed to get him on sale on AliExpress. I've been finding a lot of deals on AliExpress lately, which is nice because normally I do not find deals. You know, my wife finds deals everywhere. I struggle. But I found him a couple months back, and I was really happy with the deal I got, because I got him with a bunch of other stuff too. But look at the posability on this guy. He's extremely posable. Move that out the way so you can see how high he's kicking. Or you can make it a kick like he's kicking someone up. I mean, it's just so posable. The arms are on multiple joints. He's got a butterfly joint. He's got his universal shoulder joint. He's got a bicep swivel. He's got a wrist swivel. Look at this chain. Real metal. It's nice and small, which I like. But they really did a great job. I mean, like, this is what you want from your action figure lines, you know? A lot of people complain, but this is what you want. You want the figure to look unique. You want it to have its own little shtick so you can build your own little mythology to go with it. And, you know, you want the figure to stand up to the kind of play that you might want to do, which is posing in this case. And he is very easy to pose. And you see that the chain piece connects to the bottom of this knife. And he comes with a bunch of stuff too. I'll show you a couple of the things he comes with. But I love that, I pulled too hard there, but I love that he feels different and he looks so different. So when you're posing him and stuff, there's an ease that comes with posing and positioning this guy that you don't really see with a lot of figures. Like, this is what I was expecting from the Meta Travelers, and then I was sorely mistaken, because when I got them, they couldn't really move. They don't have much articulation at all, and people are like, oh, it's because they're modular. I'm like, this figure is modular. You could pull him apart. You saw me pull his hand off. You could pull everything apart because it's all layered. So it's all about how you do it, not the fact that you did something. You know what I'm saying? But let me get out some of his extra parts before we move on to the next guy. So I am a firm fan of baggies. I know people complain about them because of Figma, but I am a fan of that shit. I feel like with the amount of accessories, if you can get a baggie and then get a baggie going, and then also get a like a little Tupperware, you know, something like one of these. Put your stuff in there. You'll be good to go. You know, make sure you get a bigger one, and that's where you keep all your stuff, and you will be good to fucking go. I don't understand sometimes the amount of complaints about all the things we do and we can do as collectors. But anyway, so you have the combined version of his weapon. Pretty dope. And then his other thing is this cool pistol. And he has gun holding hands. I like this because you could use it for other people, and then also you can use it as, like, maybe where he's from, that they cobble together stuff, because that canister looks very rusted and old. So it's cool to see that maybe he used that, like an old charge or an old fuel cell as some kind of power source for his gun. But it looks good. It looks really good. Really chunky and big, and it looks powerful. So I like that. And then he has a bunch of, I think he has, what, 4 pairs of hands on top of the ones that he's sporting right now, as well as the, there are some bands that you use to, like, I don't know if they're used to, like, fasten the material onto his body or something like that. I didn't use that stuff. I just put this around him and called it a day. But I like him. I like him a lot. He's going in on my Ninja Turtle area because along with my Fury toys, I have a lot of mutant looking guys that are more they almost look like movie villains that should be in Ninja Turtles, you know? But I really like him. He could either be a Kamen Rider villain, he reminds me of Kamen Rider Shin a lot, or whatever that thing is. What was his name? The villain that Shin fought. You know, this could be a stand-in for him too. But he's well done, man. Very well done. I was like, when I saw him, I was kind of between him and the Manticora from Sexy Ice. But the Sexy Ice Manticora, because I missed the initial pre-order, now that thing is $200 or $300 or $600. And I'm like, it came out at like $100. Why are you going overboard? But this is kind of in the same realm. I got him before it got up to 100 plus. So, you know, if you see him, he's worth it. I mean, just look at him. From head to toe. This guy is just detail all over, man. He's well worth it. Gnarly ass feet. Looking like a Motu character. Yeah, he's worth it, man. You guys should pick him up if you can find him. Alright, let's talk about the 2 blades I managed to get in this like last couple, between the last 4 or 5 months. So I pre-ordered the Sawtooth Toys blade last year, and or maybe it was the year before, and I was just like, yep, getting it because I knew exactly what it was. He comes from, and I'll put a picture up on the screen so you could see it. Some of the concept art for what Blade was gonna look like in Deadpool and Wolverine. And then I have the other Blade sitting right here, which is what they settled on for Deadpool and Wolverine. Of course, I gave him more weapons, because that's always a concern with Blade figures, with the exception of, to some degree, the exception of the Mezco. Is anyone else having issues with the Mezco Blade's coat? I had to replace his coat because this is what was happening to it. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why is it, like, getting all gross? It just from sitting there on the shelf. That right there, I'm like, how the fuck? I don't have anything. You see, nothing is, it's not actually like ripped, but it's stretched like, but I didn't stretch it. He was standing up on the shelf. But I got him a new coat, and I got him a coat that actually fits the style of the figure, because, yeah, this figure kind of has a more stylized coat. But anyway, Blade always has kind of a style to him. Like, he doesn't wear a regular trench coat. He wears a tailored trench coat. You can see from the lines of the trench coat. Look at the collar. It's not like Gambit's trench coat, but just black leather or shiny material or whatever. It's like specifically tailored for Blade, you know, with his particular aesthetics to it. I've been seeing a lot of people post images of them, you know, playing with their blade, posing their blade, and they just bought a generic black, you know, trench coat, and it's like they're not seeing what's missing from that design. But anyway, I don't really need to do too much to talk about this Marvel Legends one. He's actually really well done. It's one of the better ones. They've got Wesley's likeness. I hate the hair. I wish they had made it more like this hair. You know, just because he's older doesn't mean he won't still be sharp. But outside of that, I mean, this is how he showed up in the movie. They did a good job. I don't like the weapon. That weapon looks like garbage. I don't like the fact that he didn't have his sword, so of course I gave him his sword. And this is from the very first, the Blade 1 action figure from Toy Biz. This is that sword. So he is in good hands, ready to do some serious damage. and I gave him this revolver from the Valiverse, that first weapons box that he released. I think this looks like something that Blade would have used. I think he used something like this in Blade 3, the movie that we do not talk about, but there was a scene where he used a big-ass beefeater, and I figured, you know what? I will pose my blade with a beefeater because it looks good. Like, and something that they did that I'm surprised about that you just don't see on Marvel Legends is the butterfly joint actually does something. I mean, like, I was super surprised. I mean, look at that. So this is, like, by far one of the better Legends that they've done. And it's definitely one of the better Blade figures. He even has a segmented neck. So, you know, if you light him correctly, that's like really, that really looks like Wesley, you know? So I was super impressed with the end result here. Because I didn't think they were ever going to pull that off, you know? So props to them for what they managed to do with this. Let's go back to Sawtooth Toys. This figure looks really dope. Look at the flat top on this guy. That shit looks nice. Look how sharp it is. Nice. Now I did switch the glasses. I used one of the spare pairs from the Mezco blade. A lot of the fixes for this guy, because there's some things they did that don't make sense to me, and I'll go in on them in just a second and let you know what I'm talking about. But like weaponry wise, they always make him have small weapons. These guys make, so I gave him a bigger weapon. This is a gun I 3D printed and then painted. It's along the lines of what he had in Blade 2. It's like some kind of Beretta with a whole bunch of attachments, you know. But it looks good. Some of my best, I'm better at painting than I remember. But he holds it well and it looks good in his hands. And like, let me just show you the weapons that he came with so you understand my frustration and why I would even bother to like change anything. There's a lot of like, I don't know, it's like they didn't think, or maybe they mismeasured, or they tried too hard to be realistic. And so in doing so, they didn't realize that like some of this stuff needs to be sized up in order to you know, better, I don't know, to better work for the guy. I don't know how to describe it. But let me see if I can find that pistol. Give me a sec. Okay. So this tiny thing right here is the pistol that they gave him. It's the pistol that he had at the end of, or from the middle to the end of Blade 2. He had 2 of these, but they only gave him 1. This is the size that it is compared to his hands. So you can see what I'm talking about when I say it just doesn't look, it doesn't look powerful. It just looks generic. Like, look at that. You know, give him 2 at least so he could, you know, double fist them, but it just doesn't look right. And then you look at the pistol that I gave him. Let me change his hand so he has his gun holding hands. So this is the gun that he, shit. This is the gun he came with. Very weak looking. I mean, we know that in these movies they could put anything in the bullets to make them more powerful, so that just looks lame for Blade. Blade, I mean, for a guy who used to run around with this, you know, how the fuck do you put that tiny thing in his hands? So I made this gun for him, and I think it works even better because some of the same visual detail, that suppressor looking thing, the 3 lines and all that, it's all here. But look at how much more powerful this looks. Get his hand on the trigger and all that. Put your hand in the box. What's inside the box? Pain. Look at that. That looks like something Blade would use. That looks much better. So that's the pistol, right? I'm working on a holster because he still got the holster that was sized for this tiny little pistol, and I don't like that. Let's see. His shotgun. So this is the shotgun. All his weapons are die-cast metal, which is also kind of unnecessary, but it's a nice little touch. Double-barreled shotty. It's kind of a decent size. Let me see if I can get this off and put his other holding thing hand out there so he can hold on to this properly. It's just like, you guys know how big of a Blade fan I am and how big of a Blade fan I have been. And there are some certain things from a design standpoint that you should do to make your characters. This is why everybody isn't qualified to make characters. And I'm not saying that, like, I'm the greatest or something like that. I'm good. Don't get me wrong. I'm good. You have seen designs and you have seen the logic, and you will be seeing more very soon because more figures are on the way. We're getting closer to the Kickstarter for SWAT. But it doesn't matter what in real life the size that these things are supposed to be when you're dealing with fictional characters in a fictional world. The idea is to make the audience feel from looking at this thing that it's powerful. We know shotguns are powerful, right? And we know they don't always look oversized. But, like, this is what you gave him, right? Sawtooth Toys. You did everything else right as far as the figure himself, but you fucked up on making the weapons look powerful. And this is what Mezco gave him. I mean, look at the difference. And I'll put them side by side so you can see what I'm talking about. Look at the difference. One looks like a super soaker and the other one looks like a fucking cannon, something that would kill people, like it'd murder a vampire. So essentially all his weapons are undersized. So I got rid of, they're in the little baggie I have for Blade stuff, but I don't make him use those weapons. I make him use either stuff that I made or the stuff that came with the Mezco blade. Then there's his sword. This is the sword that he came with. And he has a nice little sheath. And I'm like, really? That's it? And then this is the sword that I gave him, which I have two of, and I usually use for the Mezco blade. Like, come on. You want him to look badass. You don't want him to look so fucking realistic that he's just boring looking. I mean, look at Deathstroke over there. Look at the broadsword that I had to give him in addition to the katana that he has on his back. You want the sword to be big. Look at the swords that Taki has. They're long and they're cool. And then Blade gets this fucking literal pig sticker. Look at how small this shit is. It's like a butter knife. So yeah, that shit, get it out of here. We gave him the legit, like, Sword of the Daywalker. It looks like a slightly better one. And then it has the three, you see those 4 lines? Similar to what's on the pistol. It's continuity of design, my friends. Continuity of design. So, improved there. So you could have him running around with the sword and his pistol. That looks powerful. I'll pose him real quick. Expert posing taking place. Look at that. You know that looks right. Looks right. Look how clean he looks, man. And then let's talk about the glaive. He only has one glaive. I love the fact that he's got tactical pouches on the side. He's got some stakes. They're not removable on this side. The one issue I have is they kind of move up and down. I'm going to put glue on the back of it so that it glues onto his pants and it stays where it is. You have this die-cast metal glaive right here that sits in the same spot that the Mezco one does. And then here is the glaive all opened out. Very good, decent detail. I like it. It's got that same motif that you see up here, right here on the front of the glaive itself. You see that in the center? It's pretty dope. I was impressed. So like, I'm not sad about how they handled this figure, especially because since I'm a fucking Blade nerd, I have enough stuff to, like, you know, offset anything that they didn't do right. Now, the one downside to this figure is the way that his feet were done. He doesn't have much pivot, but you still can achieve a pivot. You know what I mean? Like, look, you can still achieve it. You really have to work it, you know? And it's coming from higher up on his ankle, but it looks good when you do it. Like, a lot of things with this figure is trial and error. You have to sit down and play with him and move him around and see how things work. And, you know, you have to kind of feel where things go. You can't just assume that because it didn't go easily the first try, you won't be able to do something. You know, like, I saw reviews where people said he had no waist. I just turned his waist. I mean, look at his legs and look at his waist. So he has it. You just have to be willing to actually work with it, you know? But he's a very posable figure. He's got very cool, you know, look at that. Just look at that. I barely did anything, and I just made, like, almost like a screensaver for you. He's a dope figure. Very dope figure. I was really impressed with all the cool shit going on with this guy. Look at this, another screensaver. And he does have the hole in the back of his coat so that you could put the sword and the sheath in there. Now, I don't have a big enough sheath for this sword that I have right now, but I have, you know, other swords that you could put in there. Like, say you wanted to swap one of the Taki swords, and they come with their own sheath. You could probably fit that on his back. Let me see. And fit that in the little thing. So let's see if we can do that. So always weird doing this shit in front of the camera. So as you can see on the back, there's a little notch. That's where this tiny little thing is supposed to fit in. It doesn't really hold. You could glue it on there once you get it there, but, you know. So for what I do is, if I want to pose him, like if I'm just leaving him on the shelf, just standing there, I don't really do anything. See? It went through perfectly. So there you go. You got a sword on his back. And you can keep it lower. I don't want him to have generic katanas, though. If anything, I would have given him that red blade right there, because that would fit perfectly, but I'm going to leave Taki's stuff to Taki. And since I already have this wonderful blade right here, and it's the shape of the Sword of the Daywalker with the round hilt and everything, we're going to keep this going on with him. So, yeah, all in all, I'm really happy with him. He also comes with a bunch of hands, a yelling, you know, I'm about to bite you head. I wish his teeth were wider. So I'm probably going to go in there and whiten up his teeth. But he looks really good. He also comes with this knife that was on the end of like a rope in the movie, in the movie that we shall not name. So you can use this as a knife, you know, a quick knife or something, or you could just throw it. You can use it to throw at people. But all in all, Blade is not bad. He's extremely well done. The costume is sick because it's an original design, you know, like an unused design. And he doesn't look like the other Blades that are out there on the market. And what's funny is mine came the first time I noticed, the day he got here, I noticed that the jacket was all falling apart on my Mezco blade, so it was nice to get this guy. Now, I like the material they used. It's like a weird, it looks like suede, but it's like, you hear that? It's like nylon or something. Same thing with his pants. And it doesn't wrinkle up very easily, which is awesome because that was one of the design details about Blade in Blade 2, is that his pants were made from Lycra. So usually you use Lycra for its form-fitting qualities, and they used it because if it's flowing, it won't wrinkle. And so he looked clean always. Everywhere he went, he always looked clean, and like the blood just missed him. You know what I mean? The dirt missed him, the explosions missed him. He just looked almost untouched by the environment until the end of the movie, of course. So yeah, this gives you some of that. But I like it. As a Blade fan, this made me extremely happy. Now, let's move on to one more, and then we're going to close it out for now. And then I'll do a part 2, and I'll finish the rest of the guys. I think what I'll do 2 of them at the same time because I have neglected these guys, and I've been meaning to talk about them, and we're looking at them right now. Before we jump to those, I want to show you the 2 different blades. Actually, let me switch my hands so you can see old Blade and then new Blade. Oh, come on, Blade. What are you doing, boy? Boy, me boy, what you doing, boy? Look. See, this is more traditional generic vest or generic jacket. The difference, though, is that it's cut so that it's straight. Very straight. And it's got wire all in it, all over the place. And it's kind of long, honestly. But it works perfectly for Blade. For this Blade, because he's wearing a kind of a generic biker costume underneath with armor, whereas this one is more stylized and has all the cool shit going on. So same character, similar aesthetics, but different aesthetics. I mean, look at the biker boots versus this clean, shiny working boots that he's got on, and the clean long pants and all that stuff. I love the movie design. It always was, for me, is the best designs for Blade. So anyway, there we go. LPZZ, Arkham Knight Batman, and Deathstroke. Now, I've been waiting for these guys for a long time. I got them earlier this year, and I've been sitting on them for a while because I wanted to take my time, and I will do a review. So right now it's just going to be a quick overview. I'll talk about some of the things I really like about them and some of the cool details that they added on this figure, on these figures. I'm not going to go into like crazy detail with them because, like I said, I do want to give them their own dedicated review, but I kind of feel that because it's Batman, I don't want to spend too much time. You know, like Batman gets a lot of attention because more than anybody, he gets the most figures, you know? Maybe Wolverine is next, but Batman gets the most fucking figures. And I kind of feel like, you know, he gets overexposed, whereas other people, you know, I talked about him being a force-fed character. You get so much Batman that there's really nothing to imagine and nothing to want, you know? Batman fans eat good. Thankfully, I am a Batman fan. It's just, you know, I need them to calm down. And it's funny because you remember I told you guys I was bowing out before I even knew LPZZ or InArt were a thing. And I was good with that McFarlane 89 Batman and the 91 Batman and the Flash Batman because it's Keaton, but like, you know, essentially the Ascending, Sovereign, and Supreme Knight versions of Keaton Bats. Then these guys pop up, and I'm just like, fuck, these are easily this and the Arkham Origins one, which I have on the way, because it will be a replacement for the shitty, it's not shitty, but the quality, the materials were shitty for the the DC Collectibles version. It was poor materials because he fell apart on his own, you know, and that was not a fun thing because then that meant now I gotta, you know, wait for someone to make a better one and hope to get that better one, you know. But I managed to get one. I pre-ordered the Arkham Origins version, and he's on his way. Probably sometime next week. He should be coming in. If you're on my Discord, you'll see I always talk about like newer figures and stuff like that. And if I have any thoughts about some new cool set of figures, I will mention them there first, and then you'll see videos. But this Batman and Deathstroke, holy shit, man. Holy shit. Like, the look of the figure is nuts. I love the fact that the face is dead on. I'm like, he looks like he came directly out of the game. The stand is kind of flimsy. That's probably the only area that I have any criticism. This is a cheapo fucking stand. I don't like it. Everything else about him, I love. Now, oh, there's one other thing I forgot. So the cape wire is not anchored at his collarbone like it should be. So if you want to flare this beautiful cape out, you have to position this wire. You have to force it somewhere that it can kind of hold on, so that this rest of the cape can have room to be splayed out, because otherwise it'll just fall down. But let's start with the cape. I'm going to show you the cape from the back of it so you can see how beautiful and how much detail they did. I mean, there's multiple materials, just like in the game. I'm working through the game. I didn't buy the game when it first came out. So I've been sitting on it, and I keep playing it in intervals, and then something else will come out, and I'll play that, and then I'll come back and play more intervals of this game. But look at that cape. Isn't that fucking phenomenal? And I want to say there's about 6 wires in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. It's 5 wires. There's one here. One next is here on both sides, and then one in the center. But you see, it's the 2 tones, just like in the game, with the pleathery material up here, or neoprene, and then the more softer material down here. So it gives, and it moves like the way you would want it to. It's very nice. Shoulder pads. Complex shoulder pads that move the right way. You see, they can move up and down like this, or you could move them up because they're on their own assembly and get them out the way so they can sit over his cape. Let me move in since we're looking at all that. So you see, if you keep them fixed, they move up and down. But if you need them to go over the cape, you can pull them up and then just push them over the cape, and then it looks like the proper armor like you see in the game. So you see, one side is under, the other side is over. And then you can see also the butterfly assembly that works going backwards as well as going forward. It's freaking nice, man. He's got a telescoping torso. No, that was the Reveltech one has a telescoping torso. I had that and I sold it because I pre-ordered both and forgot that I pre-ordered the other one, which it's a strange thing to have happen when I'm not rich and I don't usually do that kind of stuff. So it caught me off guard. The layering of the details, like look at the forearm gauntlet. It's in layers. It's not just one sculpt. Excuse me. The belt. The belt is on a hinge so that when you pull his legs up, if you want him to kneel or something, you can move the belt out the way without damaging it. And it doesn't look funky. It looks like the belt's moving. Now, honestly, I would have just done a floating belt with like a hinge in the back. But, you know, you have that option. Also, just Look at the design. I didn't like this design when I first saw it, but then I thought about having like a maximum crisis suit, you know? And like this is the suit, the armor that he wears when the shit has hit the fan, you know? And it looks good. And for that purpose, it works. Oh, let's talk about the chest. Look at this. The chest itself has articulation. See that? So when he's standing there and you don't want him, you don't need to move the arms in front of him, you can leave it stretched out. But when you want the arms to move over his chest, you move it, just like in the game itself. Pops out and it slides inward to make his pecs smaller, the plate smaller, and then you can put his arms in front of his chest. And it can go even further than that if you utilize the ball joint. See? It's nuts. So if you need him to block something, like say Deathstroke is throwing like one of his ridiculous kicks, which I'm convinced that the Deathstroke in the Arkhamverse doesn't have powers, but not on my watch. In my universe, Deathstroke is Deathstroke. All these sad writers forget the fact that some of these characters were designed a certain way for a reason. Deathstroke fights a team of superpowered teenagers. So he needs to have powers so that he can deal with like a teenage Flash and a teenage, you know, Cyborg and a fucking teenage chick with demonic powers, you know? Like, you need to be able to do that stuff. I'll start talking about Deathstroke also. A lot of what I just said with Batman is here on Deathstroke as well. His belt, and he has lots of layers, but they did the same stuff. The belt is on hinges. Oh, come here. It's got its own hinges. It has a point that you can connect to the belt itself to keep it down. But if you wanted to have him kicking or something and the belt would be in the way, you simply just leave it unpegged. That sounds bad, but you see what I'm saying. Don't peg it in, and it will move. It'll be free to move, and it won't fall off. So we could do the kick that I was just talking about. I love it, man. Like, the more I play around with this guy, the more I'm just like, yeah, this is what these figures needed to be from day one. And there's another detail that I'm going to show you that I'm surprised DC never had other companies do. But, you know, here's your kick. Blah. Look at that. Look at that. Doesn't that look good? All that armor literally looks like a frame from a movie or something, you know? I love it. I love it. This is why I've abandoned a lot of the American action figure companies, because the stuff that they're doing is just not that great. Now, this broadsword came from one of the Game of Thrones figures. I can't remember which one, but this is more in line with what Deathstroke used to use, you know? And I would imagine a guy with powers, like Captain America, fighting with a broadsword, using it at the speed that one of us that's in good shape would use a katana. That would be a terrifying thing, because these are heavy blades, extremely heavy. I don't know that they would cut through a katana, but Batman doesn't use swords. So if he was to get hit by this, it's going to do more damage than what you're used to, you know? So I put that back in there. But for the sake of what I'm talking about right now, I will show you his other sword. It's very light. It's the katana, his katana sword, because he is not a Tanaka. It's the handle. Very nice. Gotta do it wrong. Yeah, I put it in backwards. The sheath is very nice. And what's funny is I used to have the McFarlane one, and I was okay with that for a little while. And then it was too stiff. I couldn't do anything with it. Then here's his other sword, because he has two swords in the game. They're side by side on his sheath. This is more of the military style scimitar. I used to have one of these years ago. The blade, everything was black. It was acid etched. It was very nice. Matter of fact, I still have it. I don't know why I said I used to. I still have it. Ay, ay, ay. I'm getting old. But let me show you one of the things that I don't understand why this is not commonplace always. But I'm going to do this while you're looking at Batman right there, and then I will do the same with Batman himself, because it's just such a good detail, you know. I love the I'm going to show you when I do the review. I'll show you how the articulation works, because they've got some really good, really ingenuitive articulation that allows you to pull off some things that you normally can't do with a lot of different like popular figures, and I love the fact that this is, they chose the last version. I hope they go back and do the Arkham City Batman, because that's my favorite one of the three. And I would love to have one that has all of the functionality that this one has. But let me put Deathstroke how I want to show you him, and then let me do Batman as well. This shit should be standard. Also, before I do it, I want to show you his eyes can move, but I used the tool to achieve something that should have been the look in the game. I don't know if you noticed it before, but white eyes. So if you turn the eyes far enough in either direction, you get all white. So that's what I did. I think it looks much better this way. But, I love having options like that. And on top of all of that, he has everything that, all the weapons, I want to say just about. And I have a lot of Arkham City and Arkham Knight stuff from the various releases. That's what actually made me a McFarlane shoe-in, is that the Arkham Joker and the Arkham Batman were two of the earlier figures that he made. And between the two of them, I had a lot of stuff that I wanted to see for a long time. But like now, let me show you what I was talking about. Unmasked fucking heads. They have unmasked heads. And that looks dead on to what Batman looked like in that game. You can see the shades of Kevin Conroy in there. And then they did the same thing with Deathstroke. Mr. Wilson, Mr. Slade Wilson. Yes, that's his name. Yes, Deadpool was copying off of him. It was a joke. And just, you guys tend to like anything that's presented in an edgelord fashion, even back in my day, And I say that like I'm super old, but then again, I was a kid in the 90s, so, that's when Deadpool was created. But they look amazing. I mean, and I love the fact that they didn't make them super young. I love the fact that they just looked at the material, the source material, and just followed through. And then here's another detail. They got the opened up helmet separate. The amount of detail and attention to detail. The helmet itself is hollow. Even the eyes are hollow so that you can see through it. It's crazy, man. They really did the Lord's work on this guy. So yeah, I'm super happy about that. So all in all, I'm super proud of what they've done here. I like the way that the figure turned out. I like the details of the figure. I love all the extra weapons. I love the look. I mean, he's got a grapnel gun that has the... I want to say it has the grapnel... Does he? I'm pretty sure he has it. And if he doesn't, I'm pretty sure I have others from some of the McFarlane figures that I got. But I'm pretty sure he has a... Yeah, he has a grapnel gun. And then it has the grapple claw in it. That's awesome. You know what I mean? It's got a little bit more detail than the McFarlane one, because the McFarlane one doesn't have any paint on it. But this is what you saw him shooting up, and every time you miss a jump, that's what he that's what he uses. And then I have one of those. I have the crypto, whatever it's called, the sequencer because I forgot when I sold, or did I just keep it? I think I just kept it, honestly. I sold the Reveltech one without the sequencer, and I kept the sequencer for my own Batman figure. So essentially, with that, I have all the different weapons, all the different batarangs, the different grapnel guns. We've got that big ass the one that disables people's guns. I love it. Like, so, you've got a whole arsenal. Now, when I do the review, I'll go into more detail. Deathstroke has... What the fuck? Oh, I know what that is. It's his neck. Deathstroke comes with a bunch of parts that... a bunch of gear that he needs. So he has the swords. He has the heavy grapple claw. You get it from him. So they made him come with it. Here's the heavy grapple claw, just like in Origins. Which is funny because these are both the Arkham Knight versions, but they knew that you would, the suits are the same, and they knew that you would, want to recreate that, and I will be able to. And then here's his rifle. It's an XM8. I like it a lot. Looks really good. And then he has a tactical knife that looks like very similar to the one in the Hunted, which is pretty damn nice. I love it. And yeah, it just, you can't really beat this. I'm waiting for, the usual suspects to find a way to try to diss what I just showed you, because they have a habit of doing that. Right now, they're doing that when it comes to the DC, the kids DC line from Mattel. They're all complaining and they're saying that the figure's not that great and this, that, and the third. And it's like, those figures look amazing. They look amazing, especially for kids figures. And then you think that when they do the grown-up ones, we'll get more articulation and probably a little bit more paint. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. So I'm excited. There's some cool things coming out for us to pay attention to, but that's a chunk of what I got, what's been on my desk for the last 6 months. I'm going to come back in about a couple days. I'm going to let you guys simmer on this one. And then in a couple days, I will post part 2 of this sit down. And hopefully by then, I will have everything cleared off the desk and I can move forward. I do have a decent amount of McFarlane stuff to talk about, like a couple, I think 3 or 4 things that I picked up that I've been waiting for a long time. And, I'll talk the Chronicle figures. I'll get to talk about them because there's a lot to say. For me, it's not that much, but for when you're comparing it to what you hear from everyone else, there's a lot to say about them because Mattel has stepped their game up. And I've always been kind of a mark for Mattel because they've been improving so much over the years, but they've really stepped their game up to the point where I don't see the figures that they're going to be releasing. I don't see how they can't be great. So anyway, that's going to do it for this. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I will catch you on the next video. Peace outside.